Okay, section 5.1, this is the next chapter, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this lesson because we have to finish the content before the middle of December, right? So December 13-ish, I get here where you can see, December 13-ish is, what are those things called? Final exams. So December 13th is final exam, so here's what we got. So your next test is over chapter 3 and the 2 sections out of chapter 4, which we've done all that. You're still gonna have time to work on that. This section, I think in terms of, what's the word I'm looking for? Difficulty level? Let's say not very difficult. That you might be even able to move on to composition if you remember. So there's two parts. There's combining functions and composing, where we put one function into another function. All we're going to do today is work on combining the 4 types of ways that we'll combine. So either we'll combine the functions, we'll combine the values, and then we use the table or graph to combine the values. This 1 through 7 says this is what it covers in 5.1. So what I'm teaching you will cover the first 7 problems in 5.1. It won't cover the rest, okay? All right, so let's get started. What is this asking us to do? So each of these are asking us a certain thing. So when it's written like this, find, and this is read, f plus g of x. This means to do f of x and add it to g of x. So it'll say it wants a formula for your answer. So it just wants you to add the 2 functions together. So whatever operation it is, you're going to do that with your 2 functions. So what I'm going to do on this problem here is I'm just going to take f of x, which is 5x, and add it to g of x, which is negative x squared plus 3x. And then it's, can I combine like terms, yes or no, and then I go from there. So you would then simplify this, and what would your final answer be for this problem? Negative x squared plus 8x. So on this one, you're adding, so you'll add, and then it would be negative x squared plus 8x, because all you can add are the 5x and 3x. So you just work through your rules of algebra that you know, okay? So what would be different on the second problem? On the second one says find f minus g of x, so it needs to take the f of x guy and subtract from it the g of x guy. So again, all I'm basically doing is substitution. In place of f, I'll put 5x. In place of g, I put all of this. So the way this one will be written is 5x minus all of negative x squared plus 3x. So notice how I put my minus in front of all of g of x, okay? So I want you to see that this is my f of x, there's my minus, and that's my g of x, okay? All right, so see if you can do part B. Oh, I cannot do A, B, C, D for some reason. What does a dot mean in math?
Multiplication.
Yeah, and that's division. Now division really, there's usually a lot of times there's not much you can do, but you can multiply these two. So see if you can do B and C, take a second, and we'll check your work. So you just, however it's time you to combine the functions, that's how you're combining them. So you will tell you to simplify, so you're gonna have to do that, okay? So just do B and C and then kind of stop there, and we'll check your answers and make sure you've got them right. So on the multiply, you're gonna have to distribute. You need to kind of simplify that. Okay, let's check part B. So what would be the first thing you would do on part B? Yeah, distribute this minus. So you would have 5x. So what would it turn into? Plus
Positive x squared
minus
minus 3x.
3x. And then you just got to combine like terms. So your final answer should be what?
X squared minus 2x.
How about plus 2x?
Plus
Because
2x.
3x is smaller than 5x, so right's going to be positive. All right, is that answer? Is that answer? All right. So this means F times G means do the F guy times the G guy. Okay, we're going to multiply these two. So we're going to do 5x times negative x squared plus 3x. So then so it's basically kind of telling you, and then you got to figure out mathematically how do I do that. So I'm going to multiply these. Well, now it's just distributive. Okay, so if it's 5x times this, then I'm just going to distribute the 5x to both and see what I get. So I get negative 5x cubed plus 15x squared.
Where did the negative come from? Oh, I didn't like a negative x squared, okay.
All right. So it's going to say like find a formula for your answer, like this is our formula, right? That's our answer. Good. And then f over g, that means just do f of x over g of x. And unless anything will cancel, you just leave it alone. So I think there's one thing we could do. Does anybody see what's the one thing you can do? If you do 5x over negative x squared plus 3x, there's one thing you could do. If there's an x in every term.
5x and the 3x?
No. If there's an x in every term, you can cancel an x. You could cancel one x, because every term has an x in it. Okay? And the reason for that is, look at the bottom, if I factor the x, it leaves me with negative x plus 3. Notice there's an x in the top and an x in the bottom. Just like rational functions, which we did with asymptotes and wholes. We just did that lesson. These x's cancel. You get 5 over negative x plus 3. Okay? So, do we understand? Well, all I need to know is, do you understand what this instruction is? Everybody good with that? Get positive feedback there? Okay, good. All right. Now notice there's a difference in example 1 and example 2. Of course, I changed the function for example 2, so we're not working the same problem. But what's different on example 2? What's the main difference? I still did f plus g, f minus g, f times g, f over g, but what's different? There's a number. It's not times a number, it's of a number. So that number will go in place of x. So now you've got to find those values. So notice I put combining functions. That's what we just did. We're combining functions somehow. So when it's combining, it's adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, which is what we've done. Combining values of functions. Values is when you plug in a number, you get an answer. So now we're going to combine the values, take more specifically the y values. So now when we look at this one, all right, I want to make sure you have a chance to write example 1 because I need to erase example 1 because it's taking up too much of the board. Can you give me a thumbs up when I'm good to erase example 1? Good. Paige, you still need a little time? So, all right, so you two just give me a thumbs up when you're good, okay? I don't want to erase it without. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Just don't have. I'll lose if I keep going that way, that it'll cut the problem off. It won't have it in the video. Okay, now. So I want you guys to see what's different on this. So if we look at example 2, I'm going to.
2 minus g.
Was it 2 minus x?
X squared.
What a dummy. All right. So there's that. Okay. Don't do what I did. All right, so now f plus g of 2. So here I made a new f and g, and it doesn't always have to be f and g, but it's usually f and g, right? It's usually what we use. So what is this asking? F plus g of 2. It wants us to do. Does anybody know how we can rewrite it? What is this really asking? F of 2 plus g of 2. So look, it wants us to find this. So this was something I talked about a couple of sections ago. Remember, this is the y values. You're trying to find this y value on F. You're trying to find this y value on G. So you're trying to find the y values. That's how you get y's. You plug in the x. Okay, so it's telling you what you're going to plug in for x. So we got to find f of 2 and g of 2. So to find f of 2, I go to f and I plug in a 2. And I go to g and I plug in a 2. Okay, so there's my work for each, and I get each of those values and I add them. So this is the operation that you're going to do. So I would see what these values end up being, and then I would add them. Okay. And then, of course, the next one, that was part A. The next one is going to be f minus g of -1 wants me to do f of -1, then minus g of -1. So you got to look at the operation. So you find each of the values and then subtract. And we're finding those values by substitution, okay? So see if you can follow these and we'll check your answers. You should get one answer on each problem, one numerical answer, okay? Yeah, it should be open.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, sir. What's up, man?
Dual enrollment question?
Yes, sir.
Is that dual enrollment class through MTSU only good to MTSU, or is it good to any state school?
No, it should be, I mean, it's just like taking a college class. So if you did another Board of Regents school, it should easily transfer.
Like East Tennessee?
Oh, yeah. I think that, yeah, it's accredited.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, so let's check the first answer. So for f of 2, I got -5. And for g of 2, I got -2. 2 minus 4 is -2. And I should have got -7 for my final answer on the first one. Okay? All right, the second one. So I'm going to find f of -1. So I'm going to drop down. I'm going to go to f and I'm going to plug in a what? -1. So I'll plug a -1 into f. And then I'm going to put a minus. I'm going to plug a -1 into g. Now remember, it's going into g in place of x. So now this is x squared. So you got to square that first, okay? So let's see. So for f of -1, I got 4 minus, and for g of -1, I got 2 minus. So what does -1 squared become? 1. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay? So for f of -1, I got 4. For g of -1, I got 1. And then I'm going to subtract. Final answer is 3. Okay? It's like you were doing 2 problems in one. You got to find the values that they're asking you to find and then perform the operation. So for the next one, f times g, I'm going to do f of 0 and then multiply it by g of 0. So I'm going to work and find each of those. So f of 0 means I plug a 0 into f, get that answer, times I plug a 0 into g, get that answer, and I'm going to multiply. So when I did f of 0, I get what? What do you get? 1. When you do g of 0, what do you get? 2. Multiply, you get 2. Okay?
Please tell me this is difficult again.
I mean, do you understand what we're doing? As long as you understand, I think it's okay. If you don't understand, then, all right, last one. F divided by g of 3 means that we're going to do f of 3 and divide it by g of 3. Okay? So let's see, what's f of 3? So again, I'm using the same thing. So f of 3 means I plug a 3 into f. G of 3 means I plug a 3 into G. So notice the top is f of 3. I plug a 3 into f. The bottom is G of 3. And I'm doing division because it says division. So I'm dividing the values. So what did you get for f of 3, Hank?
Oh, I haven't done that.
Oh, okay, well, let's just wait then. Sorry.
Look, they're so nice, the student council gave me the Hershey's Kisses.
Yep.
So I tried doing the subtraction one, and no matter how I put it in the calculator, it's not giving me the right answer. What?
I mean, I just wouldn't use the calculator, but let's see.
I mean, I was trying to put in the whole problem.
Yeah, just hang on, let me see your calculator.
Yeah, because you're not doing order of operations, or you're not, so here's the problem. I'm not subtracting till the very end. You can't type it like this. If you type it like this, you gotta make sure that you distribute the negative. So you need to put parentheses minus all of this. So I'm waiting till I get that 1, then I'm subtracting. But if you're gonna do this, the minus has to go to all of that. Okay. So what do we get on this one? What's f of 3? What's g of 3?
-7.
You should have got 8 over 7. Okay. Yeah, so on that one, so the safe bet is put parentheses around the second part, so because that minus has to go to all of it. Okay, so these are, we're doing the values, but so notice, how do we get, so on this one, how do I get f of 2? I've got to plug in to get f of 2. But you don't always plug in to get f of 2. So I'm going to show you 2 other examples where we're going to be asked these same questions, but you don't plug in. So what do I mean by plug in? I mean, how do I figure out what f of 2 is? I have to substitute in and get it that way. And how did I find g of 2? Well, I had to go to the equation and substitute it in. So this problem, these are where I'm using substitution, because I have to use substitution to figure out what is, so how do I figure out f of 2 and how do I figure out g of 2? I got to sub the x's in to get those. You don't always have to do that. Depends on what they give you. So I'm going to ask you the same questions, except I'm not going to give you these functions. I mean, similar questions, not exactly the same, but similar ideas. So look at this. Now I'm going to give you a table on example 3. There's f of x, and here's g of x. I want to make sure you understand what this table says. Okay, so that's to, yes. So here's what we got. This is what? Can somebody tell me what this negative 10 is? Well, yeah, but just in terms of what we're doing, what does this stand for? Yeah, it's the y-intercept, but what else? Nope, that's the x. You're at the right idea though, that's what I'm looking for. What is this? F of 0. This one is f of 0. That's what this represents. So this one right here is what? F of 1. This is no.
G of 2.
Yeah, but it's important you know, because look, here's the first question. Find f plus g of 3. So you're going to do, you need to find f of 3, and you need to find g of 3, and you need to add them. So that way now you need to know where to go to find each one. See, does that see why I asked you those questions now? All right, so there's that one. Find f minus g of 0, find f times g of 1, and find f over g of 2. If you can do each one of those. Now you're using the chart to do it. So I think this is easier because the values are already there. So just to do the first one together, what's f of 3? 4.
That's what we said.
Yeah, look, what does this stand for? Guys, everybody look up here. What is this asking you? What does this stand for? It's the y value on the graph of f when x is 3. That's what we talked about 2 sections ago. This is the y value on the graph of g when x is 3. This x, that's y's. That's x, that's y's. These are the numbers that you use. Guys, it's not.
I was
Yes.
just talking about other.
4 plus 18, that's exactly right. You should get 22. There you go. Knock those other three ones out. And then there's one more way I can ask you this, one more type of problem, and that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and start drawing over here. Okay, let's check our work. All right, what's the first thing I'm gonna write right here? Very good, f of 0 minus g of 0. Then I'm gonna find each one of those. So Maria, what did you get for f of 0? Negative 10. Minus what did you get for g of 0? What's your answer? I didn't plan that, it just worked out like that. All right, next one. F of 1 times g of 1. So I find each of those and I multiply. So what's f of 1? What's g of 1?
14.
And again, the 8 means the y value on the graph of f when x is 1. 14 is the y value on the graph of g when x is 1. And 8 times 14 is,
112.
very good. F of 2 divided by g of 2. Hank, what's f of 2?
20.
What's g of 2?
16.
And I would reduce that.
504.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, so that is combining values of functions kind of graphically. You're using a table. So this is more, not really graphically. I need to add a table there. So we did by hand where you substitute. This was substitution that we did before. This was a table. And the last one. Notice I've given you two graphs, f of x and g of x, and I tried to highlight the key points. So each one has the x from -2 to 2. I've highlighted the points that go along with it. Okay, so I'm going to ask for I'm going to ask the question. What is f of 2?
Yeah.
Hopefully 4, if you can see it, sorry. Okay, so you knew to go where? It's battleship, remember? Here's x, you go up to the point and you give the y. So f of 2 means, what's the y? 4. On that graph, when x is 2, so it's giving you the location, okay? If I answer this, g of -1, which one do you go to? Yeah, purple, whatever, magenta. I was going for magenta on this one or a hot pink. I was trying to match Paige's hair there, but it didn't work out. All right, so -1, I thought that was fine. So -1, and now look, I'm either going to the black graph or to the pink graph, right? Well, it says G. So I go down here, I find the point, and I give the Y. So G of -1 is, so again, this is just Battleship. You ever understand what I mean by Battleship? Did I use that reference before? Right, you're just playing Battleship, okay? So now, here's the questions. Find F plus G of -2. F minus G of 1. F times G of -1. F divided by G of 2. So see if you can find each of those. So again, first thing I'm going to do is write this F of -2 plus G of -2. If you're just checking it, your hair is much lighter than that. They're not good. F of -2 plus G. So first thing I do, I write it out like that, right? And then I'll go and find each one. Okay? Well, I'm jealous because I can't dye anything.
You can't grow your hair.
No, I could, I guess. I don't think I'd do it. I'd just stare at it. Easier, it saves me, because I barber it myself. Saves me money. Free.
I'm on a one haircut a year schedule.
So again, what does F of mean? Means you're looking for the what?
Why?
On the specific graph for whatever it says the X value is. You're either gonna add, subtract, multiply, or divide those values. And once we're done with this, we're done. For this part, and you have the rest of the time today to work. I don't see a lot of writing, so is there something we're confused about?
Does G of 1 have a point on it?
Yeah.
An exact point?
G of 1, yeah, right here. G of 1 is the pink graph.
Oh, okay, I got it.
F of 1 is right here. Is there any points you can't see? I only highlighted the -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Everybody can see the points? So now are you good back there? Oh, shoot, scared me. Markers are fading fast. Y'all ready to check our answers? All right, Leah, you ready? Let's do the first one together. What'd you get for f of -2?
So I got 4 and then -4, so 0.
Exactly right. So first of all, if we're gonna find f of -2, when x is -2, now it says to go to the f graph and see what the y is. So I go, this is, the black graph is the f graph and the y value is 4. That's exactly right. And then g of -2. I go to the pink graph and I will, oh, hang on, it's not a 4, it's -6.
-6.
So 4 plus -6, you should have got what answer?
-2.
-2. Okay, everybody see that one? Why it's -2? Okay. All right. So the next one, how do I first rewrite it? I rewrite it how, Allison? So notice I'm always rewriting it into each specific one. Then I know what I'm gonna look for. So Allison, what'd you get for f of 1? 1 minus what'd you get for g of 1? -2 again. I didn't plan that either, it just happened. Okay? Sid, you okay over there? Jordan, you with us? You good? So help me out on the next one. How would I first rewrite it?
F of -1 times g of -1.
And what did you get for f of -1? Very good. So again, let's just make sure we're clear. The inside is your x. Then it says f tells us, okay, we're gonna go to the f graph and get the y. And you're right, it's 1. And then we're gonna multiply by the y value on g. So -1, what'd you get for the y value on g? That's right. 1 times -3, your answer is? Very good. All right, last one. F divided by g of 2 is f of 2 over g of 2. All right. Paige, you want to help us with this one? What does f of 2 look like?
I got that it was 4.
Yep, that's right. And what'd you get for g of 2?
6.
6. So the only thing is, we know the computer is picky sometimes. So what's it probably going to tell you to do? Reduce. So what is 4 over 6 reduced? 2 over 3. Excellent. There you go.
Where did you get g of 2 for 6?
All right. So how do you, so you tell me, what does this mean to do?
Like go to like the g.
Yeah, go where first though? What's your x?
The x is 2.
All right, now I go to which graph?
The g of x.
Pink or black?
Pink.
There.
Okay.
How high is my finger? That's how we got it. Battleship. Okay? So I'm showing you 3 ways to get the y's. One is with a graph. The other one was with what? The table. The other one is, I give you f of x is this. Let's say I give you f of x is that. I want f of 4. How do I get it this way? Plug in. That's exactly right. So that's what I put here, substitution. Use a table or use a graph. So substitution would be 7 minus 4 squared, and you would get -9. Okay? Whatever, however you do it. So here, I have to find it myself. Okay? All right, I'm gonna stop that there. It is part 1 of 5.1. And,